morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe for your daily astrology, human design, and tarot report. Sitting with me, actually, he's not. He's traveling with me this morning. Jason Livanis from Titillating Tarot, who appears to be making himself a cup of tea.
I'm making some honey ginger tea.
Oh, I love that kind of tea. Oh, yeah. My God.
Yeah, it's good for the stomach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm wearing a sweatshirt this morning. You know why? It's 61 degrees. I've got testy cubes.
Yeah, this morning it's raining here. After yesterday's high of 71 or 72 in my part of the world, today we have, I don't think it's broken 60 here yet, but you know, I'm 3 hours earlier than you. It's only 8 o'clock here. Woohoo! Are you drinking out of flowers this morning?
I'm drinking out of a wonderful, you know when you sell those old jugs that are made out of that thick ceramica?
Yeah.
That you watch on the Antique Roadshow and it looks like a pile of shit. And the guy comes out with his glasses and goes, well, that's a very rare Pennsylvanian jug that, Thomas Jefferson shit in. And so it's worth about $10 million. But, I see those things all the time. You know, I see, and so when I go now here, as a matter of fact, just to show you, I'm going to go down on the ground. Do you see this jug?
Yes, I do, with the crown.
It's the same idea, same crockery thing. But I'm always like sort of thrown because I watch that show, and as much as I know about art history and antiques, and I do know quite a lot.
Yeah.
It always never ceases to amaze me. You watch that show, and there's this like pot that looks like it's been through the war, and it's worth,
and it has the Revolutionary War,
right, and it's worth a redonkulous amount of money. And then you get these other things like a famous painting, and you're like, oh, that's going to go for a lot of money, and you find out that like the artist is depreciated. And you're like, really? But a crappy pot is
the artist depreciated.
You know, the thing that really blows my mind, and please, no disrespect to any of my Indian brothers and sisters. And when I say Indian, I mean not but so let's get the insults out of the way right now. But you know, sometimes you watch the show and you see like there's these woven little baskets or something, or like some half tattered leather thing, and they're worth thousands of dollars, like some pot that was fired in the anyway. So that cracks me up. I digress this morning.
Nothing to do with astrology and tarot at all, but hey, it's kind of fun.
We're real. You mean we're real people too?
We are. We have conversations that don't include the stars and the cards. The stars and the cards. But let's get to the point, because today's Friday. Hence, I'm wearing my Seahawks gear. It's Blue Friday. The Hawks are coming home today or this weekend, and hopefully they can win a game against the Colts. And so today we are looking at doing 3 days worth of reports.
Yep.
So let's start with Friday today. Michelle is saying her father collected antiques and knew his shit.
Thank you, Michelle. That helps us know how.
But it's fun to know this.
It is
right
fun.
Now we know some of our listeners.
What kind of antiques, Michelle? Are we talking Ming vases, or are we talking, outhouses? What are we talking here?
She hasn't answered yet. So while we're waiting for her to answer, I will start talking about today's moon in Capricorn. She's laughing at you. Everything she says, everything.
Nice.
So anyway, here we are today with the moon in the final stages of moving through the sign of Capricorn. And so we will begin the process here of changing over from the sign of Capricorn and its more stringent, structured form, sort of leaning to the more Aquarian type of energy, which is always so much more free and inventive and unique, eccentric sort of energy. So we have today, the rest of the day, basically, until I think it's 12 something in the morning. What are you laughing at?
Because you just went on about the virtues of Aquarians, and they're really wonderful and fantastic, and it's all in juxtaposition to the asshole Capricorns, which makes me fucking laugh, because you're like, oh, and they're fluid and they're lovely, as opposed to those constipated.
Honey, your sound is muted. Is your speaker leaning up against something?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I can hear you. It's just your volume's way down or something.
I'll check my volume.
You check your volume, but
no,
you know, to
anyway,
your point,
so I was just laughing because, you know, there were no real complimentary adjectives.
That's not true. Capricorn has very business-like, organized skills. They can be very ambitious and driven. There's nothing wrong with that kind of energy, but the neighboring signs always are completely different than the one that we're in. So we move from this more straight-laced, business-like, all business and no play, to an energy that's much more inventive and playful. I don't know if I can use the word playful, but sort of, yes. Group-oriented as opposed to its Leo counterpart, which is very individual-oriented. And some energies or sometimes Aquarian energy can be very inventive and get these ahas and revelations like out of the blue. So for most of the weekend, we end up with the moon in Aquarius, which is absolutely awesome. We just have today, which is, I think, fitting for a Friday, right? We have the rest of the week, the end day of the business week in the business sign of Capricorn. So clean up your business, get everything put away and done, because Saturday, with the energy change, you're going to feel much more like going out and doing things that are different, new, exciting. This is not your usual run-of-the-mill weekend where you sit around doing the same old thing that you do every weekend. So I would encourage people to go out and do something different. If you're usually staying at home, go out and explore. Take a hike on a place where you've never taken a hike. Go to the market. The farmers markets around the country should be like teeming with wonderful goodies at this point of year. Saturday brings in some other energies that are really cool to talk about. As the moon is in Aquarius, the sun is, of course, in Libra, and Mercury also joins the sun this weekend in Libra. So the energy takes on a very much more relationship-oriented, maybe even as we get into Sunday, a more intimate sort of kind of energy. It's time for cuddles and loves and kisses and feeding one another, taking care of one another. At the same time, Venus and Neptune are in an opposition to each other. Now, remember earlier this week, we were talking about Jupiter opposing Uranus and how that can be antagonistic because you got two planets pulling apart. Well, with Venus and Neptune, they don't have that same kind of tension between them. Venus holds the tension of the more erotic, loving, physical love, right? The love between human beings. But Neptune holds the love of the unconditional love. So the higher order kind of energy, the more of the glue energy that holds the universe together.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So when we're dealing with a Venus opposing Neptune, we're not dealing with harsh energies at all. We're dealing with higher order love, where our regular relationship energy can be exalted, if you will, and brought up to a new level that includes unconditional love and compassion and more of the, I love you kind of energies that are accepting and intimate, but also generous and kind. And so to me, this is a pretty interesting weekend. If the weather's bad, stay in bed, cuddle with your loved ones. Kids, they just absorb that kind of energy, of that kind of attention. And Sunday, then, of course, we're still left with the moon in Aquarius. We still are under the influence of Venus opposing Neptune. And, of course, Mercury in Libra, inching closer to the sun, and still pulling us to relationships, love, dare I say the big C's that we were talking about the other day, co-creation, cooperation, connection. So all in all, Jason, this is I think a pretty good weekend, considering some of the weekends over the past couple of months have been dicey, maybe. This one's not so dicey. This one's much nicer.
Well, to be honest with you, I was so glad last weekend that the Armageddon-like quality of the readings was really more about people's internal strife enlightenment. Yeah, kring ching ching kong. So that's really very, very good. Let's see if we can find out what is happening today. Yay! Today. Oops, sorry.
Hold on, let me pull you. Oops, let me.
Correct.
The hanged man, the hanged guy.
So most people think, oh, you know, there are two questions. The lower level expression of this is, how are you hanging yourself? How are you self-sabotaging yourself? The higher interpretation of this card would be, you have attained a level by where you are able to see the world very differently than other people. It's not just many eyes, one soul. It's the idea that if you have your own original ideas, if you beat to the tune of your own drum, that's good, and that's really good and okay for today. Given the energy that you spoke of, I don't know exactly how that relates, but what it does say is, look at things differently today. Just observe, take yourself out and say, oh, I could look at that differently today. And that's what the message, in my opinion, this card has brought for Friday.
Well, I think that's good because it's in preparation of the more Aquarian energy, which is more eccentric, which is unique. You used a phrase that I often use to describe Aquarius, and that is marching to the beat of their own drummer. So I think that's appropriate, an appropriate setup to the weekend.
Depending on what card comes next, that's my caveat. This card will be tricky for Saturday. It is the Five of Swords. This does not just refer to being imprisoned mentally, but it means being imprisoned physically as well as emotionally and mentally, as opposed to the Five of Wands, which is like a hand behind the jail irons that are all thorns. It's like, oh shit, oh, I want to touch it. But that is almost always a form of physical entrapment, getting yourself into a bad situation. This is the whole Megillah. This is you bought into that slavery, hook, line, and sinker. Now, I was listening to your forecast about, letting it go with the flow. You're going to have a wonderful time to do all that. We'll find out exactly what the real message is in a second here with the third card. Excellent. Okay. You have the Five of Discs here. I lied. the three of discs here. And
I like that card, the prism.
I get this for scientists and nurses and people who are artists. The energy is coming in, going into the diamond, which is Jew, and then coming out in a rainbow. And there are the three discs here spinning, keeping that diamond aloft. So this is a very simple sort of understanding. All that stuff that you discussed can happen, will flow. But on Saturday, you're going to have to use that Hanged Man to look at things differently. That card, the swords, very often you'll hear me reiterate when I'm doing readings online, please stop doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result.
Insanity.
Please stop doing that. Please stop doing that. Well, that's what this sword, the card on Saturday says. If you, however, use your viewpoint, which is upside down, which is beginning to take today to look at your problems, your things differently today. Tomorrow you will not be a victim. You will not be in your jail. And then Sunday you can create beauty. You can really, learn how to take that energy to focus it into your diamond and make that prism work, as opposed to being stagnant in jail. Prime opportunity. The energies are right to help you move forward.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to make the right decision. If you get freaked out, you get stuck, you get blah, 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 blah. Welcome to your jail cell that you put yourself in. And that's what the card says.
Well, it's interesting too, because I think sometimes maybe we are a prisoner of our own thoughts and our own actual ways of thinking and doing things that have become, sort of habits.
Sometimes.
And, stinking thinking can become a habit. If you're always thinking about all the things that you don't have in your life versus what you do have and being grateful for the things that you do have in your life, then you kind of set yourself up to be, imprisoned by those swords. So the opportunity, I think, this weekend is to rise above that, look at it differently. I also, Jason, went through the human design gates for the moon this weekend because I thought it might be kind of fun to look at what of the gates we will be working with. And the first gates today, we're dealing with the gate.
Oh, that's 61. Bad, folks. If he does that shit, it's loaded for me. It's
loaded because you have gate 61. I believe it's the sun, which is the gate of wonder or madness. Right? Madness, like, woo, loony. So the moon, lunar, taking us through the gate of looniness if we are sitting in our trying to figure it all out. I think the beauty of Capricorn energy moving into Aquarius.
Stop! Wait, that went too fast. Wait. And I didn't even smoke a bowl. What? Wait. So you're trying to tell me that right now the moon is going into gate 61, which activates wonder or
madness.
I woke up this morning, folks, not a joke. And Janet knows I am a very proud owner of a very high functioning body of bipolar. You like how I looked at myself from the outside with that? Anyway. Obviously, I medicate properly, and this morning I got up for no fucking reason. Blue. I got food. I have clothing. I have love in my life. I have a roof over my head. Blue. I'm like, ugh. And so to hear that, I felt off. That's the word. I usually feel balanced and healthy. I got up this morning going, like I drank a fifth of tequila or something. Like, what's wrong?
Off. Yeah.
Off.
Mm-hmm.
So the moon is going into gate 61 today.
It went in there at 10:15 your time.
Great. Next.
This too shall pass. So here's the reason why that you might have slipped into the madness end of wonder and awe. Is that because your mind is busy trying to figure out things, right? When we get into that energy of trying to figure out how something's going to happen, when is something going to happen, when am I going to get married kind of energy where our mind is in that loop, right? If we get our mind into that loop, madness ensues. Where if we can get out of that and just say, to the universe, this is what I want. And I'm so excited to feel like I have everything in the world that I want, then you can slip yourself into more of the wonder and awe that is the mystery of this life that we lead, as opposed to getting stuck into that part of yourself trying to figure it all out, because you're not designed to figure it out. In human design, we're designed to say what we want, but not designed to figure out how it gets to us. And that is difficult because everything in our outer world conditions us to make a plan, figure it all out, get into your head and, take steps from your mind. And there isn't anybody here on the planet who's designed to make decisions about what comes next from their minds. No one.
And how long is this moon going to be at this gate?
Well, lucky for you, the gate shifts into this gate 60 at 21:28. So what's that, 9 o'clock tonight? Well, that's not so happy, is it? I'm sorry to say, but maybe you just by shifting your perspective.
Yeah, now that I know that this is
out of that blues and into that happier energy.
No, awareness is half the battle. Sometimes when I'm feeling loony papatoony and I walk and I go down the street and then I look up and I'm like, why is the street light so bright? And then I'm like, oh, it's the moon. It's full. It's full. It's the moon, and I'm an asshole.
No, you're not. See, it's that kind of talk. Subconsciously, you just pulled up something about yourself that isn't true. You're not an asshole.
No,
You
but
might have asshole tendencies.
yeah.
You might at times
I certainly do.
at times you might behave in a manner that's assholish.
How did you know
Or
I was Greek?
yeah, he's Greek. He can't help himself. But you know, that is not the truth about who you are.
Mm-mm.
Right? That is not the truth. You are a loving, giving, compassionate human being. And at times, as any one of us, you can become a jerk, right?
You know, what's incredible about that, though, is I don't know. Maybe people that are working on themselves, like myself, always, like yourself, people who are doers. Got it. We want to try and not be victims, so we can assume responsibility and know what's going on. And the fact of the matter, folks, is sometimes you just have to be, because there's shit going on that you have nothing to do with. You do have a choice on how to react. But I'll tell you, when I see the full moon like that, there's this relief, like, oh, okay, at least I know the reason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just because, oh, great, my choo-choo's gone chugging around the fucking bend again. Yeah.
Well, this too shall pass, right? This is the morning's energy. And most of the day, let's face it, let's just call it like it is. Most of the day, you may have this tendency to pull yourself in and try to work things out in your mind. As soon as you feel yourself doing that, move out of that and just go back to the wonder and the awe and the mystery and the beauty that is the life we lead on this planet. When the energy shifts, we go into the gate 60, which is about resourcefulness. It's about being inventive and creating new ways to approach old problems. It is also
You're discussing the moon, correct? Not the sun or anything?
Discussing just the moon right now, right?
Okay.
Because the moon moves the quickest besides the sun. And so, you know, we have varying energies on any given day. And, you know, resourcefulness and the use of thinking outside of the box kind of things, energy is squarely an Aquarian ideal. And so it takes us into Saturday, and Saturday morning, we end up switching from the more resourcefulness, inventive energy into imagination, creativity. And that can also be inventive, right? Seeing things from a new perspective, looking at it with new eyes, right? Take off the typical glasses that you have on and put on some new ones and see what else can happen. Always asking yourself, what else can be, right? How can this be better? Those kinds of questions that are opening us up to bigger things than the smaller things. And then Saturday evening, we get into the energy of intimacy. And here's where the real cuddling energy begins, with that Venus opposing Neptune and Mercury moving into Libra. So two planets now squarely in Libra, causing us to really look at our relationships. And Sunday, we're still in that same energy, but the Sunday gate 13 comes into play, and that's the gate of the listener. Not so much the talker, but the listener. So you may find that you have friends or loved ones who really need you to listen to what they're saying. The caution here is that if you're listening and you're hearing victim me kind of energy, you're hearing the same old story kind of energy, I want you all to listen to what your loved one's saying, and then maybe try to help them reframe what they're saying in a new way, right? In a more empowered way. And the reason I say that is because the last energy of the day on Sunday goes into gate 49, the gate of revolution. And if we're creating a love revolution, let's say, we have to start by loving ourselves. And if you're hearing an old story from someone and it's not very loving, like me just, you know, catching you saying you're an asshole kind of thing, then, you know, gently but lovingly, after listening, listen first, help them to reframe the story, right? Help them to see themselves in a higher light, help them to turn themselves upside down using the energy that we walk into this weekend with the Hanged Man, and seeing themselves in a new and different and maybe enlightened perspective. this weekend has good potential.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be beautiful weather.
I'm not thinking that it's going to be that way here. Although I love it. I love rain. So I think we're into rain, but oh well, no big deal, right? It's fall. I've waited all damn summer for this weather. So that's it for me. Do you have anything else you want to say or share?
Nada. I'll see all of my Argonauts and all of our viewers and listeners. I guess
Monday morning.
Yeah.
Monday. So have a great weekend. Love one another. Love yourself. And we'll see you on Monday. Bye for now. Bye, Jason. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Yes.
Mwah.
Mwah.